Hi everybody, welcome to Flosstube number 43. I'm coming to you from a hotel room again. We're still in Phoenix, just finished up Bristol 3 this afternoon. And what a fun time everyone had. It was just an amazing retreat. Jean always outdoes herself as well as her staff at the attic and just makes everybody feel so welcome. So I'm thrilled that I had the chance to come out here with my mom, and we got the opportunity to enjoy a few days in the area and then actually visit with all the stitchers that were here. So thank you to Jean and her staff, as well as Claudia and Vicki and Megan. Just some wonderful classes and talks that I thoroughly enjoyed. I'll show you a couple of little projects that I'm working on and some of the things that we got. The first little project Claudia gave us the first night, and it was to work on perforated paper. She took this little design from one of her Bristols, and we were to make a name tag out of it. And so this is my little Bristol bunny and name tag. So I finished that. That was a challenge, so I wanted to get it finished. Then Vicki and Megan had some great projects. One was a little small as well, punch perforated paper mini portfolio. And so I'm going to show you a picture of what it looks like. Just a very sweet little piece. You could put letters, you could put little cards in it. So that's the front. And on the back is a verse, and it just says, "My intimate friends are a chosen few. Our hearts to each other are honest and true." And I think that's so sweet. And we got all of the supplies to actually finish it with. So there's this beautiful little fabric that you will line the inside of. And this is my start. So sorry about the little glare there. I've at least got a pretty good start in the center. So I'm going to try and finish it up. I took this weekend to just stitch things that were not models, and that was kind of a nice little break, but I'm ready to get back to my model work now. Let me show you a few of the other things that we got. Of course, it was full of information about Bristol, and I love anything to do with the Bristol Orphanage samplers. And the main chart is this one, and it's called May Angels Guard the One I Love. And Claudia had the neatest story. This little sampler was lost for several months, and it finally showed up, thank heavens, and she was able to rescue it. But it's just a beautiful little spots Bristol sampler. And the colors were especially appealing to me because they were in lavenders. And you guys know I love purple, so I will have to find time to do that sampler at some point. We also received this little kit. It's Bristol samplings that were done on little perforated paper, different little motifs that you can make these little tags or needle books out of. Then the red bunny sampler. This is where we got the little bunny for the name tag. This would have been an orphan house motif. So just a sweet little sampler. This one is Believe in Jesus. There's the Bible. That's so recognizable on a lot of the Bristols. And I know Claudia said that like 90% of the Bristols will have this Bible motif on them somewhere. So that's a sweet little piece. And then Needlework Press, Vicki and Megan have charted this, and it's just, the pictures don't even do it justice. It's absolutely gorgeous. And one interesting thing Megan said was that as she was working on charting, you would think, just to look at it, it looks pretty symmetrical, like the same type flower across from each other, but they were completely different. And she felt like the woman had hand drawn her chart first, or her design, and then had the stitches to match it to fill it kind of in. So even though it looks very symmetrical, it's really not. So you have to pay close attention when you're stitching, but it is a beautiful sampler with lovely colors. So lots of great projects, but most importantly, lots of fun visiting with everyone. I had a great table group, Mom and I sat at, so thank you guys. I know some of you watch, and we thoroughly enjoyed getting to sit and visit with all of you. So thank you for being such great table mates. I showed you last week as we were traveling here that I had begun work on Anne Lee Clark. And as I began stitching Anne, I did all the letters in the navy, and that was pretty easy to do. But as I started doing the other colors and was really looking at them, they seemed to change on me. I wasn't just thrilled with how they were coming out. The colors just seemed to change once I started stitching them. So I scrapped my start on Anley Clark and picked up some fresh colors from the attic, and ended up going with some Dinky dyes. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but aren't they just beautiful? And the colors, when I put them on the back of the sampler, just were beautiful. So I have started Anley Clark for a second time, but I think I'm going to be very pleased with these colors. So I'll have to get back on her on our way home. Then today I want to stop for just a few moments and talk to you about another sampler. And this one is really near and dear to me, and you'll see why in just a minute. So I'll show you the sampler first. And it's just kind of a basic sampler. And I really wasn't sure. I thought I need to look and see, is it American or is it English? And looking at it, I didn't see any crowns. I looked at the bottom, and some of the things that I saw down here, to me, I've never seen anything. This doesn't look like a great big pretty manor home. It looks like a schoolhouse to me. That's kind of what I'm going with. I really think this building is a schoolhouse. And it has the little basket, berry basket. Here's another one. Some trees, a little flower type band down here at the bottom, her initials. So it looks like little arrows. I'm not sure if that's what they are, supposed to be little mini trees, but very basic sampler. And the reason I purchased this sampler, I've talked to you guys before, sometimes it's the border that catches my attention. Sometimes it's the verse, sometimes it's the motifs, or if there's one large picture, or the colors even. But this sampler caught my attention because the stitcher, Ruth Sheldon Cook, was born Wednesday, the 17th day of August, 1814. And my birthday is August 17th. And so immediately I was like, I have to have this. This stitcher was born the same day I was. Now I'm going to give you some math, a little math assignment. You guys know I love history, but here's a math assignment. She was born the 17th of August of 1814. She was born 151 years before I was born. So you'll know how old I am. If you can do that little bit of easy math, you'll figure out how old I am. But I wanted to look it up. So my gut instinct was American Sampler. As I started searching, she was super easy, probably the easiest person I've ever searched for and found. It immediately popped up, and it was the only one that popped up. And it showed that she was born in Massachusetts. She was born to an Elijah and Ruth Sheldon Cook. And then after she married, she moved to St. Louis, Missouri. And I thought that was another interesting fact, because St. Louis is not too far from Arkansas. It's pretty close to where I live. And so I just thought that was very interesting to have this young girl sampler who was born on the same day I was and who moved to a city not very far. I consider Missouri a neighbor. So that was very interesting to me. She lived a nice long life. She married a man named, let me look at my notes here, Timothy Hall Knox, and he was a doctor. They got married in 1836 in Connecticut. They then moved to St. Louis. It didn't show that they had had any children when they lived in Connecticut. So maybe they met, married, and then decided to move. Maybe he started his practice. I'm not sure. It doesn't state any reason why, so we all have to just kind of guess. But after they moved to Missouri, they had 7 children. And unfortunately, several of the children died young in age, but there were others that were able to live a much longer life. The only unfortunate thing, her husband Timothy died in 1860. He was only 47 years old. She went on, however, to live until 1906 when she died at the age of 91. So Ruth had a nice, long, happy life, I have a feeling. I'm going to try and chart this, and I've already started. That was one of the things one evening while I was out here. I took a little bit of time to work on charting Ruth, and my goal is to try and have her ready to release on my birthday. I think it won't be anything near as elaborate as Nicola did with her birthday, but I think it would be fun to release Ruth Sheldon Cook on our joined birthday. So that's kind of my goal. So be looking for her later this summer. She used very simple colors. She only had 5 colors. And I'm going to show you what I have them in because this was a special gift from Jean. And I absolutely love it. I think she still has a couple of them in stock in the store, but these were a gift from her for the attendees. And so if you're interested in it, you might quickly call and see if she has any left. She used the verse of the sampler, the Bristol sampler, that was kind of our themed sampler, and it says, "May angels guard the one I love," Bristol 3, 2023 at the top. And this is this little box. And if you notice at the top, there's a little magnet so your needle will stick to it. And then the top is on like a hinge where you can slide your 103s down on those little, I'm not sure, the little stems. And so if I close it, you can see the colors. These are the colors that are in Ruth Sheldon Cook sampler. This is hard to tell, but this is a really dark green, kind of an emerald color. And I just think this is the coolest thing. So I was thrilled to get this and be able to use it. I picked out 2 fabrics. I still haven't made my mind up quite yet. This one is by Needle Bling Designs. It's Shrekie's Tan. And hopefully you can see it's a tan, but it's got a little bit of green modeling in it. And I really like that. So I'm kind of leaning that direction. I just have to do a few test stitches to see how the colors are going to show up on it. This one is by Tabby Cat and it's called Tickety Boo. It's a 46 count. It's a little bit darker. I know the camera doesn't do them justice, but it's really, both of these are gorgeous linens. So I'm going to play with it a little bit and see which one I think will do the best job for Ruth Sheldon Cook. Last week, I had a surprise from the attic, I said, for whoever our winner was. And I'm not going to tell what the surprise is because it would be a surprise. So last week's winner is Alison Caron. So congratulations, Alison. I will get your surprise mailed off to you when I return home this week. And then I'll give away another attic surprise. So I picked up a couple of things while I was here. And this week, to be entered, just comment below. Hit the like button. Be sure and subscribe if you haven't. Tell your friends if they haven't subscribed and they enjoy stitching samplers to join us. And hit the bell as well. That way you know when I upload a new video. I sure do appreciate it. We got several new subscribers last week, so thank you for joining us. It's just lots of fun to get together, talk about samplers, and some history as well. And I did have one other thing I wanted to share with you, and a little story I told this weekend at Bristol. As I'm looking at Ruth Ann Sheldon's sampler, I noticed over here there is a stain, this dark spot. And sometimes samplers just age and it's kind of all over, but this is definitely, something has happened here. There's some type of a stain. And so I'm curious, you know, was she eating something and dropped a little piece of grease or something there that caused that stain? Was she drinking a cup of coffee and spilled a little bit on her sampler? We'll never know, but something happened and left a little stain. And so this week when I introduced my Bristol, and I'll show you the Bristol next week. Well, no, it won't be next week because it's going to Country Sampler for her retreat this week. But when I get the Bristol back, I'll show it to you. But I told the story about I was nearly finished stitching the model for Martha Warboys. and I was down to just a little corner, and it was a labor of love because that is a huge sampler to stitch. My husband and I were gonna have chicken noodle soup for supper. And so we fixed a cup of chicken noodle soup. So went in the living room to sit down. We were watching a movie, and as I sat, the chicken noodle soup came up out of the cup and landed over on the table, some of it, in the middle of my Bristol. I screamed, grabbed my Bristol, ran in the kitchen. My husband had no idea what was going on. My mother, who was in her room, had no idea what was going on. They all ran in the kitchen with me. I just know she's ruined. So I get cold water and I dab and I dry and I dab and I dry. And I think it was due to my mother's prayers. There's not a stain one on my Bristol. All the chicken noodle soup was out. And when she dried, you can't even tell where I spilled the chicken noodle soup. But accidents happen, don't they? I don't know. Have any of you ever spilled anything on your samplers or your stitching? If you have and know how to get things out, be sure and share, because all of us, I'm sure, at some point have spilled something on our stitching, as did Ruth Sheldon Cook. She has a little spill that is a mystery to all of us, and we'll never know, but bless her heart, she couldn't get it out. I hope all of you have had a great weekend, and we'll have a fantastic week next week. Try and make some time to do some stitching. Mom kitted up a new sampler. She's going to start stitching tonight and work on it on our way home. We hope to be home by Wednesday. We're just going to take our time and drive a little different route going home, one that does not go over the huge mountains. I'm hoping. I've really done some investigation this weekend in trying to find a different route home so I don't have to drive over those really big mountains. And we'll just take our time and get home when we get home. But I'm looking forward to doing some stitching each evening and working on some of these new projects. So I hope you do the same and find something fun that you enjoy stitching. So have a great week, and I hope to talk to you guys again very soon. Bye.